And we are good to go. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Liz Christofferson. I am the owner of Empower Consulting Group, and I'm the sponsor, host, and moderator for today's session. My relationship with Mission Community Services goes back to when I first moved here to the area just a few years ago. And I met Chuck and I met the group, and he invited me to teach their the Start, Run, Grow class. And so of doing that several times. And I'm excited because we have a class graduating next week, next Tuesday. Despite all this chaos that we've been through, we have a good group of folks who have actually written a business plan and are ready to do the things they need to do to move forward. So that's very exciting stuff. So just to let you know how we're going to interact with each other today, for those of you that have your webcams on, thank you. It's great to see some shining, smiling faces today. And I just want to ensure that you respect time so that we limit our distractions. If you have phones on or other things going on around you, please do to diminish those. We are recording the session. It will be available post processing. So if you miss a question or you have to leave early, don't worry about that. We'll make sure that you can get to that. And as we go along, you will have an opportunity to share. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. One is to type your question or comment into the chat box. The other is to raise your hand so that I could actually see it on the screen. And then I can open up your mic and allow you to speak. So those are a couple ways that you can interact with us. And I just ask you to be patient because there are many more of you than there are of me. And I am thankful for our MCSC team to be here to help out behind the scenes. So what are we going to talk about today? First of all, I'd like to welcome Perry Finzel. He works with Congressman Kevin McCarthy's office. Kevin serves as the 23rd District Representative in the state of California. He's the House Minority Leader. So we're really grateful and appreciative to have Perry joining us today. And so Perry, thanks so much for being here. And please, if you'd like to speak, just let me know. I'm more than happy to turn it over to you. I'm going to kick things off by letting Chuck give us a few minutes, having him give us a few minutes of an update. Then we're going to hear some hero stories, and we're going to dive into an interactive conversation. There's some really important things that I want to share with you, but I also want to hear from you. And the purpose of this session today is really to hear from you. We want to know what else we can do to help you get from where you're at to where you need to be in order to be ready to get your business steamrolling ahead. So Chuck, why don't you go ahead and give us an update?
Sure. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for facilitating for us. And hello, everyone. Some of you and I know, some I don't know, so welcome. We had a call with our SBA regional office this morning, and they gave us some updates on the EIDL and the PPP loans. And next Friday is when we're going to go into the latest updates. But for those of you that may have applied for the economic injury disaster loan or the paycheck protection loan, those programs, those are all delayed at the moment. They ran out of money, but Congress has approved money. That's the good news. And within a few days, it'll be up again. And I will post some things on a chat box on where to go to find out. Okay, so we don't have to take time for that, but you can look there if that's something you're applying for. But I would suggest all solo entrepreneurs, small businesses apply for the EIDL loan. That's the economic injury one. And they'll approve a loan and give you an advance, and the advance we've heard is $1,000 per employee. If you're self-employed, you're still an employee, so that's good news, and you should be able to get a $1,000 advance that is then forgiven. So that's great. So it's a short application, 10 or 15 minutes apparently. People I know have applied, they haven't heard back yet, so you want to get yourself in the queue as soon as that opens up again. And the other thing is Tuesday, through the California EDD, finally unemployment for the self-employed will be opening up. So I'll put a link for that also. So please apply for that. You know, and the good news there is if you get approved, not only do you get something from California, but that's where you get the $600 a week from the federal government. So please take advantage of that. It's designed to help small business in these times and to keep the economy going. So please take advantage of that. All right, and I'll be putting stuff in the chat box, so you can just copy and paste it later on. Okay, thank you, Liz.
Okay, thanks so much, Chuck. And again, just a reminder, May 1st, next Friday, same time, same station, actually a different station, but we will have a more formal update with some of the other presenters that we've had joining us in the past. So I want to shift gears now and talk a little bit about hero stories, because you know, this is a big thing that we're all going through, and we're all working on adapting to what is now in the moment, what's the future going to be, and trying to figure things out. And we hear so many things on the news and around us that can be pretty disheartening. You know, lots of sadness, lots of stress, lots of anxiety, but there's some really good things as well. And what we want to focus on today is to hearing those hero stories. So I'm going to give you two examples, and then I'm going to ask Steve to share just briefly and Sabrina Pratt to share briefly. But the intention is to let you know a little bit about businesses that are adapting or shifting or pivoting, if you will, right? Making some changes to how they're operating in order to operate in today's and to begin to get ready for what's next. So there's a company called Daniels Woodland. This made news. It was a pretty exciting thing. They actually used to create and build high-end tree houses, and now they're actually making hospital gowns. So they've changed their manufacturing facility. I think they're up in Paso. They have changed to actually be creating these hospital gowns. And then the Downtown SLO Association, they're actually offering a virtual city tour experience. So if you go to their website, it's got some really cool information about what's happening in Downtown SLO, and it lets you take this virtual city tour. In Paso, there's some organizations, some companies, Cowboy Spirits, for example, who's shifted from distilling spirits to creating hand sanitizer. Granada Hotel is now Granada Grocery. So besides the hotel, they're also offering grocery services. And the reason that we want to share these is because we just want you to recognize that once we can make that shift of getting out of fear thinking, we can move into creativity. I share with my mastermind that fear absolutely squashes all of our creativity. So we wanted to share with you stories of local businesses that are moving beyond the fear, thinking about things in a new way and creating opportunity. So Steve, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to share a little bit about how you have shifted and adapted, and then we'll switch over to Sabrina, and then we'll dive right into the content that we want to talk about today.
Sure. Thanks, Liz. Thanks a lot. I just got out of a court hearing. This is why I'm fancied up. And that's one of the things that's changed is that, you know, we're now, I was just testifying in court in Reno, Nevada from my study at home. And we're doing the whole Brady Bunch thing with the Zoom, except for in the opposite context of Brady Bunch, it was about the dissolution of a family rather than the melding of two families. So much more unfortunate, but also essential. And I do computer forensics, and so I'm doing lots and lots and lots of stuff with lots of computers. And I'm doing a lot of that from home now. I'm accessing the computers and the programs at my office in SLO from my home in Santa Maria. And I'm using LogMeIn, which has got a fairly strong encryption that allows me to access the stuff there. As well, I'm doing a lot of the forensic work here in the study, and if I happen to be in the office, I access it from here, from there. TeamViewer, I haven't used it, but has a similar encrypted ability to have remote access. And of course, the other nice thing is I'm wearing sweatpants and and Skechers. So, and I have no idea what the judge had under his robes, but we never do, right? So,
Yeah, I never do. Good.
I just thought I'd just like quickly say, you know, these are the adjustments I'm making. Also, while I have had a merchant account through PayPal, it's extra important to do that now because nobody.
Oh, we just lost you, Steve. Steve, we can't hear you. Okay.
I'm okay. I'm okay with
There
it.
you go. You're back. Okay.
Pardon?
We were unable to hear you for a moment there. We lost the sound. So I apologize for that. But what you were talking about was making the switch from PayPal to another type of service. Were you going to a local bank or what was your?
Oh, no, sorry. That was, I'm using PayPal now all the time. Excuse me.
Okay.
Instead of checks in my empty mailbox.
In your
And
empty.
no,
Okay.
PayPal goes through Mechanics Bank, which is honestly, they've been fabulous with regard to the PPP loan. They've been super proactive. I've been really impressed and bragging on them in my Facebook thread. And can I say one other thing about a company in San Luis Obispo?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so my son, who's a CFO at Poor Richards Press, you may have read that they've switched gears and they do mostly printing, of course, like in their name, but they've switched gears and they're now repairing 147,000 effective masks for Marion Healthcare.
That's exciting. That's good news.
They're more heroes than I am, I think.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Steve. That was really great. So he's leveraging technology to do some of the things that he might have had to do going out to meet with people face to face, right? So I want to hear from Sabrina because she just is a joy in my life. Every time I even think of your name, I just want to laugh because you always make me laugh every time I talk to you. So let's hear about you and your business and how you've made some changes and adaptations to this new marketplace.
Okay, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. First, I need to say that San Luis Obispo allergy season is hitting me sideways, so that's what's going on over here. So I own Central Coast Comedy Theater, and I'm also a life coach in private practice. So my life coaching practice is already virtual and was about half of my income. Mm-hmm. And then my comedy theater, the bread and butter of the business is classes, comedy classes. And then, you know, we do shows, and I also do some corporate training using improv for team development. So that's my business. Those are my businesses. That's what's going on over here. And when I have to say that in mid-March, when we got the shelter-in-place order, the first thing that popped in my head was, I know this sounds kind of funny, but I'll just tell you guys, it was survival of the bounciest is what came into my head. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I can bounce with this. And yesterday I did a lunch and learn with a tech startup in the Bay Area. There were like 200 people. And I was talking about resiliency, you know, being resilient. And I love what Liz put in. I mean, fear totally squashes creativity. And so I moved but resilience is the antidote, is the end of that thought. So I moved my company virtual, which is like, okay, how do you take comedy classes virtual? I a long time ago as a business owner, well, I haven't even been a business owner for a long time, a few years ago, realized that everything that happens is a puzzle, and I really love puzzles. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, this is another level of the puzzle. Like, let me puzzle this out, you know? And I'm like, let me look at this for the opportunity that it is. So moved my classes online, took everything virtual, added some classes that I wasn't teaching. So I'm teaching a writing for comedy, television, writing sketch course, and also added a storytelling course, a stand-up course, which this virtual platform, we use Zoom, actually lends itself really beautifully to those classes and taking things virtual has allowed me the opportunity to expand my business, which I did not anticipate happening, because I was able to move so efficiently and quickly and like kind of do it. I did it in like a matter of maybe 24 hours. These larger theaters around the world were just like, oh gosh, it's like going to take us months to figure this out. And they kind of closed their doors. And so I called my friends and I was like, hey, send your people my way and I'll keep them going. So I actually expanded my community outside of San Luis Obispo, which is freaking incredible. And I didn't see that coming. That's kind of cool. And it's also, taking everything virtual has also given me the opportunity to have instructors from around the world who are now, you know, like pretty well-known actors and writers that are out of work at home looking for gigs. I'm like, oh, come teach my course, you know? So I just want to say the power of staying in a opportunistic mindset about life. There's so much that we can't control. We can't control the circumstances of the world, but we can certainly control how we are going to be in the face of those circumstances. So, and then I also want to say that always my business has been a heart-based business. It's for community and connection, and laughter is such a beautiful way to connect. So the feedback that I've received is like one of gratitude. Thank you so much for offering the space so that I have people that I can connect with. And, you know, so many people are working from home and it's kind of, as Liz pointed out, heavy. I mean, of course, like there's some heaviness going on in the world. And then it's just really nice to have a comedy class that you can come to for a few hours and just be silly and play and laugh and keep everything kind of light and blow off some steam and stay connected with your friends. And, you know, I'll say that too. Like my community really takes care of me and takes care of each other. So, okay, I was speaking kind of fast because I wasn't sure how much time I had, Liz, but
You're very good. So I want to reinforce what you said, that you had one business model, one vision for your business that you were doing here locally. And all of a sudden, you know, with this change, you've had to, like Steve, you had to figure out how can I do this virtually? And there was something you said early on that I think is really, really important for our marketplace, is that you all of a sudden realize that by doing what you do virtually, you can grow beyond your local marketplace, right? So you can have customers, you know, in other parts of California, in other states, in other parts of the country, around the world. And that also has allowed you to attract people, experts, if you will, who can help you continue to grow and expand. And one of the things that I was thinking of when you were talking is just this, now you have expertise about how to do this. You could consult with some of those other business models that do what you do, but don't know how to do it virtually. That in itself could be a revenue stream for you. So just a thought before we move on. So yeah, so I want to just see if there's anyone else in the audience who has a hero story that they want to share, whether it's your own hero story or it's somebody else's hero story. Do you know of a business, or have you taken your own business and adapted it, evolved it, doing something a little bit different than maybe you were doing before? So if you have an idea, just raise your hand and I'll call on you, and then, you know, you can share with us, and if not, we'll keep going. Let me just look. Oh, there's Steve. Yes, Steve.
It's me again. So I'm also part of a nonprofit in the Bay Area, and that does scientific workshops twice a year. And we discovered that we're probably not going to be able to get these 60 or so people from around the world together in person. So we decided that we would do it virtually. We haven't quite figured out how we're doing it with that many people for like a 2 or 3 day whole day program. However, in the process of figuring that out, and I have had almost nothing to do with this part of it, but in the process of figuring that out, now there are daily hour-long presentations with experts in different fields happening every day, and it's provided a greater influence with a greater number of people than the Foresight Institute has been able to work with before. So again, this is something where the model changed, and all of a sudden it's provided for expansion in this case of a nonprofit. So that's pretty cool.
Excellent.
Lemons into lemonade.
Thanks, Steve. Absolutely. So I just want to reinforce, Chuck has typed a few things into the chat box, right? So the COVID-19 relief.sba.gov is one of the places that you can go to get more information. And on April 28th, the portal opens for self-employed to apply for unemployment. And then he typed in the edd.ca.gov about coronavirus pandemic unemployment assistance. It's actually a page that gives you a lot of really brilliant, good information. And we have a thank you to Sabrina for your brilliant ideas, your great energy, and all the good things that you're doing in the community. So thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and keep moving us through the process. And again, as we go through this conversation today, I'm going to share with you thoughts and ideas, and I'm going to ask you for insight and input. And so the intention here is really to not just for me to be presenting here for you as well. So if you would just give me one little moment here, if I can share my screen with you so that you can see this. If you see something in the chat box that you want to chime in, please be sure to do that, because now that my screen is adapted, I don't necessarily see everybody on my screen. So thank you for your help with that. So what I'm sharing with you is something that came about. I was invited to do a podcast with some pretty brilliant people, and I was feeling pretty small about my portion of it. But I learned so much just by participating. And so I want to share that with you today. And again, the intention is for you to be thinking about your own consciousness, your own awareness as we go from where we are right now to whatever this recovery and rebuild is going to look like. And there's lots of possibilities. So we're all adapting to this new world, and we're really in uncharted territory. There have been lots of things. There have been recessions, there have been earthquakes, there have been fires, there have been other illnesses, all kinds of things, but nothing quite to this degree, this fast, this expansive. And so because we're in uncharted territory, we have to think about, from a business perspective, our cash flow, our marketing, our facilities, our systems, our technology, our manufacturing. And what's really important for us to be considering as we begin to move into this rebuilding exercise is to just go back to the basics, the fundamentals, right? What do you need to do to fortify your business foundation? Is your business profitable? What does my marketing look like, right? What are the things I need to do? Systems, and then the people, the teams, internal and external. And in particular, because of the way things are going right now, this is a great opportunity for you to develop or improve your product, your experience, right? Mark Cuban on an entrepreneurship program the other day said, in today's market, with what's going on in the bigger world right now, you find other products, programs, or services to offer that generate income for you, do it. Do all the things you need to do to apply for the stimulus package, but if you see an opportunity and you can make it happen, do it. So we've heard from a few of you about the things that you are doing to keep your business going, to generate income. You know, some other examples are people who have shifted from what their business was to making masks. I've heard of restaurants and caterers who have contracted with either the city or the county or the hospital service or the fire department, police department, whatever, to prepare meals for first responders. So they've all pivoted. They've all made some changes to adapt to this world. Businesses that are collaborating with each other, that are working together, right? So Sabrina mentioned, as she was getting ready to, offer this outside our local marketplace, she came across other experts who could be part of her team to continue to drive some good stuff. So I think it's important to be thinking about collaborators, right? So what are you going to do with the money that you're going to get from the stimulus package? Are you going to invest it in marketing? Are you going to improve your products, programs, and services. Maybe now you need to reinforce your systems like Steve has done. Maybe you need to look at the people that you had or have around you and figure out how to improve on the quality of the experience that you're providing for your customers. We also want to be really, really aware of cash flow and preserve the cash. So whether you're getting the stimulus package or not, be thinking about the income that's coming in and be very conscious and focused of paying attention to that on a regular and consistent basis. So every month, knowing what your income is and what your expenses are, and then figuring out if there's a gap. Maybe there isn't a gap. Maybe you can set aside some of that money for marketing or to make a better program or to invest in some technology. These are all things that I think are really important for you to consider as you begin to think about, what do I need to do to get my business from where it's at to where I want it to be? So another piece to that puzzle, and this is where I'm going to spend a little bit of time, then we're going to open it back up to you, is what we're calling consumer consciousness. And I have been fascinated by human behavior for a lot of reasons. It started when I found out that my father had brain cancer, and I wanted to understand what was happening to him, and I wanted to understand why his behavior was the way that it was. And through starting to learn about that, I became even more fascinated around this idea of behavior and performance, and that gave me a really, really good education. So for me, understanding people, why do people buy what they buy, and what keeps them from buying what they buy, right? Understanding human behavior is really important. For you in business, you need to understand what consumers, your customers, or your potential customers are thinking now. So right now, our consumers are, sheltering at home. We're all in our homes. We have family around or not, depending on whether we have, family close by. We're working from home. We're shopping online more. We're using the internet and other technology systems to communicate, to work, to do lots of things. So we're a little bit connected from that human interaction. And right now, consumer consciousness is in what they call contracted state or fear state, right? They're very conservative. They're very selective. They're risk averse. They're more precautions now than ever. And they're really committed to spending wisely. So in order for us to get to a place where we have a vibrant economy, the consumer consciousness has to change back to expansion and possibility. And so it's really important to understand contraction is fear, expansion is possibility or open, and our thinking, our behavior, and our decisions are driven by whichever one of those states that we're in. So from a business standpoint, where do you think people are spending money now? I'm just going to ask that question and see if any of you have some ideas about what people are spending money on.
Hey, Liz, real quickly before
Yes,
we move on to questions, somebody mentioned that if you could go full screen, are you able to go full screen on your PowerPoint?
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Oh, can you do? Yeah, okay, let me just advance it. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Thank you. So anyone is
Control box.
spending money? I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm seeing your control box. I don't know if other people are or not.
I don't think that will go away.
Okay, that's
But we
better.
do see, oh, there it is. That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, but just so you know now, I can't see who has their hands raised, Gina. So I'll need you to intercept that for me.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. So what are people spending money on now? We're spending.
Alana has a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You might have to unmute yourself, Alana.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. If we were denied for unemployment based on us not realizing we were both the employee and the employer, I sent them faxed them a sheet with a lot of the missing stuff. Do we start all over? Do we keep calling every few days all day long to see if we can get through? What's your suggestion there? As an independent contractor, not an employee.
Yeah, Chuck can answer that.
So
Yeah.
on Tuesday, when the portal opens, is when you would reapply. So even if you've applied the other way, it's the proper place apparently finally for the self-employed to apply.
Will it go back to when I applied before, since it was official in the system?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I've asked that question too. But
Okay.
the portal that opens will provide pandemic unemployment assistance. So there's a few programs, and this is the one that'll have the $600 a week if you're approved. So please, everyone that's here self-employed, apply for that.
From what I understand too, it says on the letter that I got that well technically denied me for unemployment is to keep hold of your account number, because whatever you created when you applied will probably apply when you reapply for PUA. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Hi, it's Anupa. I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify. So what you're saying is even if you weren't eligible before, or because I'm self-employed, but I kind of fell through these little loopholes. So I think if I understand correctly, you're saying even if you weren't eligible before or were turned down, to continue to apply for this next round.
Yes, by all means. This is designed for self-employed people that haven't worked for employer, don't have past wages in the system. So it
Right.
can
Okay.
cover all of it.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. I think we're ready. Move on, Liz.
Okay, so we'll keep going on consumer consciousness, right? So what are people spending money on now? Besides toilet paper, they're spending money in areas that they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel is a wise purchase decision. They're not doing what's, might be considered frivolous spending. So they're really aware of the income that they have right now and doing the things that they need to do in order to leverage what they have and get through these challenging times. So from a business perspective, what's really important is recognize that at some point, as things start to shift and evolve and our thinking, behavior, and decisions open and expand, right, we need to understand where people are going to spend money in the future. So we all have to live, we all have to work, and we're all going to play in some way, shape, or form. So it's important to know that from a business perspective, the more creative you can get about meeting those needs as we move forward is going to put you in a really good position. So the consumer of the near future is going to be looking for two things. They're going to look for trust, and they're going to look for value. And in doing the homework about this, one of the issues that's being talked about is this idea that we were going to go into a recession. That looks like that's what's going to happen. Well, there have been 23 recessions since 1902, and the average time to recover from a recession is about 8.5 months. So as a business owner, if you want to stay in the game, then you need to plan for that, right? And the reality is that our consumers, they're going to buy from vendors that offer that higher sense of security, confidence, and value. So whether you're a photographer or you own a restaurant or you're a life coach or you offer technical services, the consumer is going to be filtering and saying, do I feel safe and secure making this purchase? Am I confident that what they're going to promise me is what they're going to deliver? And am I getting great value for the amount of money that I'm going to spend? So in situations like we're going through now, 75% of businesses and business owners operate from that place of fear and contraction. So they reduce their marketing efforts. And history tells us they will never regain market share or profitability. And the decisions that they're making right now about those things will determine how long they're able to open and remain open once the market starts to improve. The 25% that actually see opportunity, that are already moving in expansion and open and possibility, are adapting. They're expanding into new markets. They're creating new markets for themselves, and they're gaining market share. They're defining products and services and programs, right? And they're working on increasing their marketing efforts. They're looking at ways to stay in touch with their existing customers, as well as ways to think about what they would market in the near future. And those businesses, based on historical information, that 25% that sees opportunity now but adapts, those are the businesses that will see additional growth in the coming 5 years. They're the ones that are going to reach new, sustainable, higher growth rates, and they're the ones that will become the dominant leaders in their marketplace. So all of this is really leading to this idea that as a business owner, it's important for you to become courageous and to be the leader of your vision and your business. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to close off my screen and open it back up so we can have some conversation around some of the things that you might be thinking about with your business, unrelated to the stimulus package, but just what are you doing in your business right now? Where could you use some help? What are the things that you're thinking about doing that might help you get from where you're at to where the new market might be when all is said and done? So if you just bear with me a few minutes here, let me see if I can stop the sharing and get that going, and we're back. Okay, so let's talk about what I've just shared with you. What resonated? What sounded like made sense to you? Sounded like it was something that you could take and then figure out how to apply. So Alana, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and tell us about some of the things that you might be thinking about?
Thank you. The one thing that I've stepped into right now is taking advantage of a product that I was aware of, that I had access to, but I hadn't been promoting at all, that is a hand cream and hand gel to protect against viruses. So it has colloidal silver in it. So that's been my pretty much whole focus the last 6 weeks, is to get it out to friends and family who do need to be going to the bank and going to the grocery store and helping people. So that's been, and it's, making product sales at $10 to $20 each. So I need to do a lot of it, but I've been out there, I'm giving discounts to everybody. So that's been a shift, taking advantage of an opportunity where I had that product available before. I just didn't pay attention. The other one, and I have a couple more phone calls to confirm, I have a ladies retreat in Sedona booked for the first week of July. And I'm sitting there holding off the person that I've hired to do sales page stuff. And I'm going, wait a minute, if people can drive, I'm very sure the timeshare will be open. The hills will be open, and we can sit in the room, be out on the lawn doing Tai Chi and Qigong and maybe the hot tub, maybe not, depending. But I'm realizing that instead of holding back, I need to get out there and market it. People will need to get out. They want to be happy. They want to let go of all the stuff that's been holding them in right now. So I want to turn it around and realize I need to get on the phone and confirm a few things and just get that kicked off so people have something to look forward to 2.5 months from now.
Wonderful. So you mentioned that you have this product that you're now selling. It's something that you were offering before, but now it's kind of moved to the forefront, and you're getting that out there. And then you have this retreat that you've got in the makings, but you actually haven't taken action with it yet. You're going to get ready to do that, it sounds like, provided you can check some things off, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Very good stuff. So in what way could we, this group that's here with you right now, help you with either of those ideas?
I've used for promoting to people the responsibility of taking care of your own health. It's your own responsibility. And until right now, what's happening, most people haven't. They wait till they're 50 or 60 and start breaking and then realize the importance. So I'm trying to think of a way to use this as a springboard for people to realize you don't have to put a mask on and gloves the rest of your life and hand gel, but you do need to take responsible for your health. So I'd really like to find some words. What would be impactful? What would make a difference for people to want to take on that and the knowledge that they are responsible?
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about your perfect customer.
Retreat-wise, I'm working with women, but my regular daily clients are using powerful antioxidants to help build their immune system, stay healthy, fight off free radicals, prevent disease, or help remove disease. Be careful of the words I say. And then colloidal silver, which is something I've used for 25 years, I use it to stay healthy, to kill any germs I breathe in. So that's something for people to use all the time.
So it sounds like there's a pretty wide age range.
Either it's high school athletes because their parents will help support them in improving performance, but most of the time it's going to be more of 40s to 50 and up is pretty much when people say, I do need to take care of my health. I won't be like this forever.
So it sounds like help with crafting the message to that audience is something that would be valuable to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And part of the reason I'm asking this is to get some additional information for us as we go forward with some of the different programs and things that we're working on bringing. So I want to open it up and see if we have somebody else. It looks like Chuck is raising his hand. Are you raising your hand, Chuck? Yes?
Yes, thank you. You know, it's interesting what you're talking about on the slideshow. It got me thinking back to the recession back in 2008. And I happened to be, quote, between jobs then. And it was, it was quite challenging because to go from having a good job, taking a year off and realizing, oh, there's no economy to come back to right now. I had to get pretty creative and, and I kind of, a friend of mine gave me this little system, if you will. He said, you have to have the intention and you have to be curious because if you just have intention, you can get frustrated. Curiosity will help you not be frustrated. It's like, my intention is I want to be working, right? In today's day and age, this time right now, once this recession is over, I want to be making a difference in people's lives and I want to be making an income at the same time. And okay, well, that's good. But then the next thing is, well, how am I going to do that? I'm curious. What would that look like? And start listing some different things and just having fun with it. And, part of my process is making phone calls. And, if any of you have been out of work, you know how frustrating that is. And, you really have to be your best self to make a phone call and knowing that 19 out of 20 times you're going to get stonewalled. So same now, if you're looking for ideas on what to do, how to do it, you're going to hit a lot of walls. But I had a friend who was so I forget his business, but he said, Chuck, I make 50, 60 calls a day. And, if I'm not up, I can't do it. I said, well, what do you do? He said, well, this is my secret. He says, before I start, I'll call my girlfriend and ask her to tell me how great I am. That's so silly, but on the other hand, we're humans. We want to be appreciated and feel good. And he said, well, and then I said, what if she's mad at you or it's not going well? He said, well, then I'll call an ex-girlfriend. And I said, what if that fails? He says, well, I'll call my mother. So, just keep reaching until you find someone that gives you that emotional support to uplift you, give you a little bit of inspiration. Certainly, I think anyone in this group, anyone right now in this day and age, if you just say, hey, I need some inspiration, they're going to give you some ideas.
Absolutely.
Likewise, you'll be there to inspire others too. So, we're all in this together. And the other one thing I thought is that, the economy may not be the same as it was after this. People are having changed buying patterns. That's something we're aware of. Are we going to go to bars and restaurants like we used to? Probably not. That suspicion of who's got the virus is going to stick with us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of like hanging on to our money a little more now too. And we're getting used to whatever little we have to hang on to it. So put that into your business model. And, so not only do you have to have the right product, but you have to build awareness of it. And, and that's, again, through groups, through word of mouth, whatever works right for you, and reach out, at the Women's Business Center where you can chat with our consultant for free. I'm not giving a plug for that. Well, I am. But, we're here to help. And it doesn't cost anything. So please take advantage of it. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So, Chuck, there's a couple things that you said that I want to just kind of get people to think about. But first, there's in the chat box, Alana, a couple suggestions for you. People approaching retirement. People approaching retirement could be a definition for your target audience. And the AARP could be a great resource for language, for advertising ideas. They spend a lot of money, right, to hit that people approaching retirement, right? So those are good resources for you. But Chuck talked a little bit about curiosity. And actually, I do this thing called Creativity Camp up in Tahoe with a group of entrepreneurs. And curiosity is an activator of creativity, because the more we're curious, the more we're open, the more we're receptive, the more we're willing to just kind of keep searching and looking and gathering information and internalizing it, and really getting to a place where the more curious we are, the more determined, the more resilient we become, the more committed we become then to find the answer, right? It's kind of this adventure that we go on. So as leaders of your business, some things that Chuck mentioned are really important as well. If you're waiting for the status quo to resume, if you're waiting for the economy or an official sign of recovery, first of all, we're not going to go backwards. We won't be going back to what we had before. Ideally, we're going to create something better for all of us. And if you wait until the sign of recovery to get going on what you want to do with your business, you will have lost momentum. Those people that I talked about earlier who are already adapting, expanding, thinking, evolving, they're starting to create this momentum. And the best thing that you can do for yourself right now with the time that you have is to look at what's going on in your business right now, look at who your customers are, and think about what the opportunities could be with them, right? So Alana is in the health and well-being industry, if you will. My sense of things there, and this is just from talking to myself and my friends and people that I know, because we're cooped up at home, we can't walk on the beach, we can't go on hikes, we can't go to the gym. I mean, sure, we can do Pilates and yoga and fitness things virtually, but for some people like me who need that social human interaction that gets my energy going, it's not enough. So when this is all over, I can hardly wait to get back to the gym, to get back to hiking with groups, to get back to the things that I need to do for myself to have good health and well-being, right? So what you offer, I think, right, this is a good time for you to think about it and think about how you could up-level it for when we get through this recovery. Because if I have to choose between spending money on one thing or another, with all this health thing, I'm probably going to think about my health and well-being first. That's going to be a priority, right? Nobody wants to get sick through this crisis. We don't want our loved ones to get sick. So I think our own health and well-being is going to be a really important thing. Some other things that Chuck said that have to do with just this idea of, reaching out to Mission Community Services or the people on this group. Again, this is a time for you to think about where you're at with your business. And maybe you have a great idea, or maybe you need help defining your target audience, or you don't know what systems to use to put all the puzzle pieces together, right? Or you want to practice presenting to people, or you want to practice your pitch, or you want to show, get some feedback on your website. This is a great time to make those connections with the consultants at Mission Community Services, right? It's free, like Chuck said. it wouldn't hurt you to give Barbara a call or Buffy a call, or Norma, and to say, hey, I'm thinking about something and I would love to get some feedback, right? Feedback is really important as you begin to evolve your ideas and take them from that idea to actually taking action. The other thing that can happen with following through on that is the accountability piece. It's one of the things that I specialize in with most of the clients that I work with. I've been doing strategy work for a long time, and what I realize is the difference between those who move forward and those who don't is their willingness to take action. And sometimes when you have somebody else that's going to hold you accountable, that helps you propel yourself forward, right? It's one thing for me to say, oh, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to, walk so many steps a day. But now I got this little thing on my arm, right? I have this little thing on my arm, and one of my children is connected to it. So if I don't do a certain number of steps every day, guess what? I get a little text message from her. Hey, Mom, your steps are off today. Are you going to increase tomorrow to make up, or what are you going to do? Boy, that's a different kind of parenting, right? She's parenting me now as opposed to me parenting her. So accountability is really important, and the consultants at Mission Community Services can help you with that, right? And there's lots of different expertise that they offer. So I want to continue this conversation, and I'd love to hear from a few more of you about your business. So Dawn, you were one of the first people on the conversation. Would you like to share with us a little bit about where you're at and what you're doing and where you might need some help?
Well, we're kind of in a tough situation. We're a commercial tire dealership,
Okay.
and for Michelin, and we've been trying to figure out some things to streamline things, make things easier, but it seems like we just keep getting slammed because, as you know, the oil right now, that's a lot of our big customers, which is Halliburton and Schlumberger and all these big companies. They are just in the tank right now, so it's kind of frustrating. Feel like you kind of go 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. So it's tough. It's a tough market for us right now. And then you got another big market. We have a lot of our big school districts here in Bakersfield and Kern County that we supply tires to, and all the buses are parked. So
Yeah.
again, it's tough. So I don't know. We're gonna have to figure something out. And so I've been kind of listening to some of your guys' suggestions, but it's kind of tough because it really doesn't. Some of them don't apply necessarily to us. When you've got this big commercial product that's already, established by Michelin and stuff like that. So it's more of processes is what we have to improve on then.
Yeah, streamlining your process, right? And staying in touch with your best customers, right? I know another firm's not in the tire business, but in a different kind of business, it's hit pretty hard as well. And of course, not in this marketplace. They're in another part of the U.S., but one of the things that they're doing is they're just calling their customers just to check in and see how they're doing, and listening for any potential opportunities, right? Is there something that they could be doing or could be offering that might generate a little bit of either consulting or advising or some type of a service that they could provide, right? That's part of the intention of their team calling it on the customer. So it might be something that you think about. And certainly as we go forward, I would think that some of your businesses, like the school districts and some of the other businesses that you do business with, they'll continue to need what you have to offer. Eventually, the kids will go back to school. The school buses will be going forward. The regional transportation, I don't know if you have relationships with the regional transportation services, but some of them, even though they've shrunk, the number of buses or that they have out there, maybe.
Yeah, we have them too. So we're pretty. That's one thing. We've got eggs in a bunch of different baskets. So I mean, luckily we haven't cut any hours. We haven't cut any employees. We're still moving, but and it's kind of funny talking about changing things. I had a customer that I've been trying to collect money from, right? And he had a brand new business, a brand new trucking company. He just started, and then boom, this hit, and so he's really in the tank. And it's kind of funny because then another customer walked in right after him, and they were like frustrated because they missed out on this whole the first round of the loans and stuff, and they were asking, and we don't know what to do, we don't know who to go to, and I go, well, I've sat on about 15 webinars in the last 3 weeks, so why don't you sit down? I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. So that kind of helps. So by helping them with their business, it's going to help them pay their bills to me. So that's one thing I guess I could say that we've done. So
that might be something that you could, just offer some help there. So Norma, I just saw you come on, so I'd love to hear from you because we haven't heard.
I heard Dawn, and I wanted to jump in and and commend her on what she's doing and helping others, because I mean, we have to all work together to do this, and and as women, it's our nature, right? To hey, let's jump in there and do that. So thank you for that. The other thing I did want to mention to Dawn is I didn't hear you mention if you had any certifications and what you're doing as far as government contracting or working with local county agencies. I know you had the buses and so forth, but another thing you might want to look into is like Caltrans or anything else like that that actually have vehicles. Focus on the essential business. Yeah, focus on those that are essential right now. Create like a spreadsheet of what is essential, what are the essential businesses that are out there working right now, and how you can provide them a service. I know that Liz talked about giving them a phone call, but also, shoot them a little newsletter, email, or even, a lot of times, marking a little thank you card. Thank you for being our dedicated customer. We look forward to seeing you in the future. We're here to help you, that type of stuff. Those are just the things that kind of popped into my head. And I probably should have introduced myself to begin with.
Yes, please do.
Well, yeah, I just jumped in because I wanted to help, talk to Dawn, and thank you so much. But I get real excited because I am the Deputy Director for Mission Community Services Corporation Women's Business Center, and I manage and operate the Kern Women's Business Center. Buffy's on here also, she's my assistant. And so we're here to help individuals in Kern County as well. So if you, by all means, have any of your clients or friends, family that have small businesses, we're happy to help as well, because we have consultants working with PPP and working with EIDL, working with the unemployment, whether it's disaster unemployment assistance or the pandemic and unemployment assistance. We're ramping up for all that. So by all means, we're here to help as well.
And to answer your question real quick, we are WSB, WBE, and with Caltrans as far as where's a DBE with Caltrans. I mean, with the state of California, so.
There's one more you might look at is the State Women's Business Enterprise, the SWBE,
okay.
And Caltrans can help with that. It's an application that they actually don't promote, but it's still active. It's another certification that you get, and it's the State Women's Minority Enterprise.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing that I do want to just share with you, Dawn, is if you look into government contracting and specifically the military, I know one of the things that I've read through the National Women's Business Council in Washington, D.C. is there's a huge initiative to connect women certified businesses to some of the military spending that's being done in the country. So that might be something to look at.
We have done a little bit for out of Ridgecrest, the China Lake. They've asked them for some stuff, and we've done. We don't have like any like solid contracts, but we have been awarded like, let's say we did the tires like up to the park at Yosemite for their big snow machines and stuff, but not as far as like. We've been trying to go to the state of California like to get like the cars for the fleets or Caltrans, and that's been a real big challenge because we monitor that and see when it's coming up. And so as far as those things, we haven't been real fortunate, but we have done stuff here and there,
And I'm sorry. I could suggest, Dawn, that you team up with someone else, maybe another organization that has maybe the bonding and all that stuff, and then you be a subcontractor.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we're right about 1 o'clock, and our session is scheduled to go at 1. I would love to hear from one more person before we get too far down the road and then start to do the things we need to do to wrap up. So do I have any volunteers, or should I just call on someone? everyone, Gina, you want to volunteer? Please do.
Well, since I'm taking notes, so so I was going to share part of one of my concerns, and it's all related to opportunity, which is kind of funny. So I've adapted my business a lot because I'm a photographer and I'm not taking clients, but I help people with their business and their brand. So I've been really active with Chuck and the MCSC group and the Women's Business Center, which I love, helping people to like become virtual and look better for their brand. But I think that one of my concerns is there are so many opportunities, and I'm hearing this a lot, is that it's overwhelming. Like you're being bombarded with, what do you want to do? Can you do this? Should I do this? I've got my contracting. I'm now an official women-owned business. Okay, now what? Now I've got all these things on the plate, and the concern is not getting the overwhelming feeling. And I hear it a lot with a lot of people. But it's kind of exciting too, because even though at first everybody was sort of crushed about what was going to happen, I think people are actually starting to see this curiosity and concern and how to help others really coming out now. So that was kind of what I wanted to share.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. So on that note, I'm going to piggyback on what Gina said. So a couple of things to consider as we wind up our call is just, there are lots of opportunities out there if you see them, but you have to be open and you have to be curious in order to get to that space of creation. And once you have this, all these ideas, and entrepreneurs typically have lots of ideas. In fact, that's part of the definition of entrepreneurship, is just all of these ideas, all of these solutions, all of these possibilities. Focus in on the one or the three that you think are going to be the best fit for your business, and monetize it, right? We get lots of ideas, but those ideas don't necessarily lead to dollars in the bank. Sometimes the ideas that we implement are really good ideas because they provide a better value or experience to our customer, but they don't necessarily put money in the bank. So right now, what we need to focus on is the ideas that we can monetize and actually will create some dollars in our bank account. So think about those ideas, whether they're long-term or short-term. So I've given you a bunch of different examples. One that I can share with you, this organization, this business that I know, they actually were a sewing shop. They sold fabric and craft things and sewing machines, and they had sewing lessons and all kinds of good stuff. And they're actually up in Auburn, California. And when this all happened, they created a network of women who used to come to the shop to make masks, right? And that actually got them a contract with this big hospital organization that's out of Sacramento. And I think it's Sutter Foundation, I think is the name of the hospital organization. So this group of women are all making masks to fulfill on this contract. The owner of the shop now actually sees that she's going to shift gears when it comes time to reopen, that there are things that they were doing that they're not going to do anymore. And there are new things that they're going to do that they've never done before. And one of the things that she's creating right now is a series of virtual sewing lessons, right? Because there are people who don't know how to sew, don't necessarily want to come into the classroom to learn how to sew, but if she can figure out how to create these sewing lessons online, she can charge X amount of dollars, right? And then like Sabrina, her audience isn't necessarily just local. It expands beyond that marketplace, right? Because what's happening is they're very creative with the masks that they're making. They're using really cool fabrics and making them very attractive. And so people are asking, where did you get those? How can I buy one? Right? So, but that only comes from being curious and open and willing to explore and expand and to figure out, what am I going to focus on? How am I going to monetize it? Is it long-term or short-term? So just kind of to wrap up, I want to encourage you that as a business leader, if you can see and clear the way forward, people are going to rally around you. It creates strength and resilience because they have the comfort of knowing that they're in good hands. So if you have a business and you figured out how to get through what you're going through right now, and you figured out where you're going to go forward, people will look to you and say that person has confidence, they're creative, they're innovative, they're a solution. You know, they're taking steps to move forward. I want more of that. More and more people, as they process everything that they're going through with this scenario that we're living in, are going to get to that place where they're going to want more of all these things that I just mentioned. So great business leaders embrace crisis as opportunity. They take it as a life lesson that they can learn and apply to their business. They know that it helps them discover new strengths. And when we tap into our full potential is when we're tested. We're all being tested right now on lots of different levels. It's the inspired leaders who step forward to meet that test. They know we're at a crossroads right now, and they're going to choose a path that's going to lead us higher. So where you focus and the action you take right now during this state of contraction will determine how quickly and how far you're going to climb when the economy recovers. And 4 things I want to leave you with. If you do nothing else from this phone call, these are the 4 things that I want you to do, 5 things that I want you to do. The first thing is increase your visibility, right? Be relevant. Be the solution provider. Be what everybody's looking for, even if it's just an ear, a message of hope, a message of positivity or joy and laughter. Add more value. When you call on people and when you interact with them, don't be thinking about what you're going to sell. Just find out how they're doing and how you can help them. Establish trust. And the way you can establish trust in your business is through social proof, through relationship proof, through your language, your messaging, and your marketing, talking about the security or the safety, your awareness of the situation and how you can help people. And then ultimately, you're going to want validation. So Norma mentioned some different certifications that someone could get to be a government contractor. More and more consumers are going to be looking for different kinds of validation, whether it's Better Business Bureau or, alphabet soup letters after your title or your name, whatever. Eliminate risk. And risk comes from knowing your income and your expenses and the gap that's sitting there. It comes from understanding that for your customers to have a great experience, you have to eliminate the risk of them buying from you. And the last thing that I want to encourage you to do, whether it's something you do immediately after this call, or you think about it and then take action later, but I'd love to have you commit to scheduling an appointment with a consultant, either with Norma's group out there in Bakersfield or with Chuck's group right here in San Luis Obispo. Register for a learning program. There's some great learning programs that the organization is now providing virtually. Some of them are really high quality programs. And if you're so inclined to think about, well, what I need some more help with my business plan and getting myself going through the summer. In June, we're going to do another round of the Explore Design Launch program. It's going to be virtual, so you can do it from the comfort of home. So that said, we've gone over. I want to thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to be here. Join us next Friday, CARES Act update. And again, thanks for being here.